Welcome to the WealthStack podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Rosic, the director of WealthStack Content and Solutions. In this episode, I'm joined by my good friend, Ryan George, CMO of Docupace, the company that goes beyond just document management, but is truly dedicated to increasing efficiency and productivity. Ryan, thank you so much for joining me.
This is the best conversation I'm going to have today. So I'm looking forward to it, Shannon.
Just today, man, I feel like this is long overdue for us.
Hey, I have lots of fun talks.
Well, sounds good. But before we really dissect why 2023 is going to be the year of advisor productivity, you know what's coming first. So welcome to segment one, Stats All, folks. Ryan, I want to talk about 100%. Docupace actually recently put out a white paper and a really catchy ad that caught my eye that said operational performance mistakes are 100% addressable. Is that true? Or is this like an Anchorman thing where it's, they've done studies, 60% of the time it works every time?
Man, right out of the gate with the tough questions. I thought we were friends. No, maybe we should hire Brian Fontana as a Docupace spokesperson. No, seriously, the statistic is correct. It is simply because it's not from an academic research paper. It's not from a study. It's just human nature. Did you know that nearly a quarter of all client accounts result in NIGOs, not in good order? Well, I just like to call them rejects. So people call them NIGOs. I call them rejects. But they already complex process, even lengthier. Most common reasons are missing paperwork, investment-specific customer data is missing, which is human, missing customer identification program, which is human. So the Docupace platform really helps alleviate these manual errors and offers, autofill processes, required fields and data validation. So how about can I hit you with a stat, Shannon?
Please.
75%. 75%. Using a system like Docupace can reduce the number of pages a new client gets to 75%. And it saves trees.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And especially in today's day and age, that's what folks want to hear. So, I mean, you guys were at Docupace too, you guys were early in the space for this too. And so, you really have a handle and have seen this side of the business really progress, right?
Yes, we celebrated our 20th anniversary last year, and we've been able to take a platform which was just really a document storage device and add on workflows, add on new account opening, advisor transitions, add on different capabilities over the years.
And as much as I love the Kitsy's Fintech map, you guys get kind of pigeonholed into that document management thing where I feel like obviously you're so much more than that now.
So much more. Yes, it's hard to, I like to say there is no box you can put us in, but I do think the Kitsy's map helps sort of people figure out what bucket they go in. And I would say we're sort of an digital operations service platform.
I think that's fair as well. So throwing it back at you with one more stat. I saw an industry survey that advisors spend less than 20% of their working hours on client meetings, and the rest was still spent on administrative tasks, which, many could be handled by better back office techs and automated workflows. Talk about a productivity killer. Why the big gap?
Well, before I answer, I must confess, I'm rather ADD, so I have no room to criticize anybody about how productivity. But I've not seen several advisor surveys that say very similar things, and I think there's really two main reasons for the gap. First, we can all be better at delegating, whether it's to other staff or technology. We just seem to continue doing things ourselves because we've done them ourselves, even though the task, may or should go somewhere else. Second, I think things are moving so fast. Who has the time to sit down and think about the process improvement that they need to make with themselves and with their firm? Well, I've got news for you. You better do it because business is only going to move faster. So the problem's only going to get worse. There was a quote I came across recently from Peter Drucker, who's, a famous GM consultant, says there's nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. And I sort of think of that, advisors can take that to heart in terms of what am I doing today that maybe somebody else should be doing themselves?
Ooh, getting philosophical on me. I like it. Well, I thank you for that point. And so now I want to dive into really the meat of the conversation. So moving on from stats, Docupace really came out strong early this year in 2023, announcing the rollout of the new RIA productivity toolkit. Obviously, you can see the theme here of productivity. So congratulations on that. But I'm actually really curious because that's a pretty significant and strategic shift for Docupace since your roots are really based in working with, mid to large size IBDs. Why was now the time to get into the RIA channel?
Well, you're exactly right. So Docupace has historically worked with larger enterprises, mostly IBDs. But why should they have all the fun? So in all seriousness, the RIA market is really maturing so fast, and so are their needs. So in the past, an RIA would rely on a combination of custodial technology like TD Ameritrade's like Veyo platform, and a collection of what we call point solutions. So these are technologies that do essentially one thing or cover one area, but don't really connect with the others. I think today, really, to be a successful RA firm, the productivity suite really is built to be cost effective and empower the RA firms to reduce operational cost, improve efficiency or productivity, attract top tier talent, strengthen recruiting, and enhance the client experience. So all that bundled up into a single package that we call the productivity suite. So it's streamlined new account opening, simplified new account client onboarding, robust workflow, status dashboard for work items, forms library, and then mostly the CRM integrations with Redtail, Salesforce, WealthBax, Practify. And what it really is giving the power of a really enterprise tool and the connectivity with enterprise tool in the hands of even smaller RIAs that may have a handful of people within their shop.
And what has been the reception so far of it?
So it's been great. It's a busy time of year. So we have as a marketer, I'm proud to say that we have an increasing trend in our inbound leads and people demo requests from all sorts of the different types, from banks, trust companies to RIAs and IBDs as well. So we're staying rather busy over here.
Oh, I can imagine. And what's the major pain point you're seeing? Are advisors and RIAs just looking for that all-in-one to say, hey, I need to stop this swivel chair effect. Can you just help me streamline? Especially because back office technology in particular, like that's table stakes now, right?
That's exactly that. I think the pain points tie into how does data get transferred between systems? So you have a robust API system with integrations. The second one would be, you don't want to log into multiple systems because you want things to move fast. You definitely don't want a client to log into multiple systems. So
No.
that's one of the things that we're really trying to solve for. Touch it once mentality, or I don't have to touch it at all.
I'm totally stealing that touch it once mentality. That needs to go on a t-shirt, but I digress. And when we started this conversation, I was making the bold claim that 2023 is really going to be the year of advisor productivity. And they really need to find ways to continue to be profitable and scale because the markets aren't offering a ton of growth right now. But, why are RAs continuing to struggle when it comes to ultimately managing their operational workflows? What are you seeing?
I think that's just it. I think so. For many years, markets were rising, and that really sort of masked operational challenges that RA may be having because everything just goes up, and you throw on top of that the rapid pace of M&A. So I think Echelon released their report recently and said 340 RA transactions, 340 in 2022 alone. That's the 10th straight year of record volume. So
Wow.
for the 10 years, it's just gone record after record after record. And so we've had RAs come to us, and go through a full evaluation process and say, yep, we need you for sure, but just don't have the time for it now. And I think that in this year of productivity, which I'm still put that on a t-shirt, they'll be taking another look at how to scale their operations. And I think, if they don't, I can tell you that their competition is.
Absolutely. And I know you and I have joked about this before in side conversations, but I want to unpack the word scale because that goes obviously hand in hand with
Dun,
productivity.
dun, dun.
Yeah, exactly. But as a fellow marketer, I know I've used that term a lot, but what the heck does it actually mean and how is technology helping?
Do you mean we're actually supposed to know the meaning of the words we use?
I know, right?
I was told there would be no math. No, just kidding.
Math
To
is
me,
hard.
scale isn't about just more output with the same or even fewer resources. It's more than that. So scale is doing 100 times, 1,000 times the output with the same or fewer resources. Then on top of that, scale allows businesses to do so with fewer mistakes, less disruptions, less outages, etc. So here's an example of what I mean. So if an advisory business is built to properly built to scale, it could purchase a retiring book of business from an advisor with, say, 1,000 clients, onboard those clients through e-signature and automatically enroll them in the firm's service matrix, like without a hitch. And to do so, firms would need to use tools like have a robust CRM, a digital client data gathering tool like PreciseFP, a portfolio trading system like InvestNet or Ryan, and then the Docupace platform to connect them all. So that's how I frame scale. What do you think of my definition?
I thought you said you didn't know what it meant because that sounds pretty darn good to me. It's almost like we know what we're doing. Who knew?
A little bit. Don't tell them that the jig will be up.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Love it. And just last question around Docupace in general, outside of the productivity toolkit, what can we expect from Docupace throughout the year and what's on the roadmap?
That's great to hear. So one of the things is, it's all about integration. So we're working on building, about to release some new deep integrations, maintenance integrations with large clearinghouses like Fidelity and Pershing that will allow a firm to connect to the custodian and update maintenance items on the account without having to leave the system, which is great. They're also looking at other solutions that we can partner with. So I'll throw out one that's a good friend of ours, like Asset Map. So how can a financial planning tool like Asset Map, how can we partner together with Precise FP, Docupace, and Asset Map to really create that streamlined process that can connect to whichever custodian the firm might be using?
Awesome. Well, that's great to hear. And it sounds like we need to start a t-shirt company, because I also heard you say it's all about integration. Another zinger. So
Yeah, I'm just everything hashtag.
exactly. Let's overwhelm Twitter. Well, I appreciate your insights on this segment, Ryan. But now it's time for segment 2 of this episode of Ask Us Anything. So gone out to the social universe, asked them to submit questions that they want answered by you, the experts, and they have delivered yet again. So I actually had a social media user DM me, and we don't call out anyone who actually messaged us. I don't want to put them on blast on the podcast, but
Slide into the DM.
right into the slide into the DMs. But they did ask, what technology do you think is going to be most impactful this year for advisors? What should they be paying attention to?
Well, first, I'll recommend that they should read Informa's 2222 WealthStack study, because it's all in there.
Love
Shameless
the plug.
you
are correct.
but I think there's a pretty simple answer, actually. It's marketing and communications tools like FMG. So times are turbulent and uncertain. So clients need to hear from their advisors more, and not just with market commentary, investment mumbo jumbo. They need to be checked in on. They need to see how they're doing. They also need someone, like an advisor, to show them that it's going to be okay. And those marketing and communications tools really make that easy and time efficient for an advisor. Also allow them to personalize it to the client and how the client needs. So what do you think of that?
I mean, I can't argue with any of that. And, it's funny with our event coming up too, that, MarTech essentially is becoming just such a hot topic, and making it work for advisors. So I think folks will really appreciate that perspective. And we did have one more question, because somebody obviously listened to one of your webinars, which have been phenomenal throughout this month's masterclass. So, well, it's been a great idea, but they reached out and said, Ryan's quote from Dave Waters really resonated. If a company isn't continuously improving, then it's slowly dying, which is incredibly morbid, but a reality check and true, right? At the end of the day. So their question they were hoping you could answer was, what are some steps RIAs can take to make sure their tech is working for them?
Sure. Well, that is a spooky quote. But, I think let's make it simple. So when I talk about steps, it's important to call out that they don't have to be big steps to be impactful for the firm. So an RIA can slingshot themselves forward simply by defining its purpose and defining the roles and responsibilities of all members in the firm. So that way you can identify maybe roles that aren't covered, or maybe roles that are misplaced, or roles that are having duplicate coverage that you can redirect the resources somewhere else. So I think that's the first step. The second would be take back your time, block out your calendar. So I block my calendar out on Thursdays and Fridays each week. I only take special meetings with special people. That's my choice on Thursdays and Fridays. So I get the time to do all the work I need to do throughout the week. So, you can accept them, but it's your choice on those days. So the second part would be, when you set a recurring meeting, like a team meeting, don't set it further than 3 months. That way you don't fall into just the habit of having the meeting, that you have to, make sure that it's something important. And then the last thing specific to sort of technology is to take stock of your tech stack. So do an audit of all the tools you pay for, all the things you subscribe to. And when you have it, here's 8 questions I think you should ask. First is this technology a critical driver of my firm's success? Yes or no? Maybe so. Does this technology have an internal champion or SME at the firm? So who owns it? Who's the expert using it? Is this technology connected to other systems or platforms of the firm? If it stands alone, it's like the cheese. It stands alone, it's going to have to go. Does the technology improve workflow and create efficiencies? Is it part of the year productivity? Do you have any metrics to determine if you're getting value from the technology? So is it making you faster? Is there any way to measure that this is actually helping you? 3 more, real quick. Does this tech improve the client experience? Do all team members agree, so the buyers plus the users, on the value the tech provides? And lastly, do the people behind the technology, i.e. the providers, understand your business? So I think that's a key part, because as they continue to innovate and build on their technology, if they don't understand your business, they're going to be building in one direction while your business is heading in another.
Well, I'm not going to lie. You mentioned that reoccurring meetings every 3 months. I felt that in my soul because how many meetings do we get that are planned out for the year, and then you're just having them to have them? I think that's such an like efficiency and productivity time suck. I think about all the times, I'm trying to get something done, and you're working through something or try to evaluate, important questions like that around your tech stack, and boom, you're sucked into something, and your train of thoughts are broken. So, like I said,
Yeah,
felt
I
that in
was
my soul.
so behind on content review. I got here early and reviewed 31 blog entries this morning. I never
31.
want to do that again. You got to get your time back.
Oh man, we should have started with that stat. Like 31. So okay, so how did you get through that in terms of efficiency and productivity?
I turned off my Slack, turned off my email, and just went through it because I knew I had to get it done because I'm about to start traveling for work for quite some time. And I knew if I didn't get it done today, the door closed.
Ah, good point. Yes, the conference circuit is upon us. So hopefully I'll catch you out on the road, obviously.
Oh, definitely.
I know as I was realizing I was starting to book like my podcast guests and everything. I'm like, ooh, I have a window here because it is about to pick up.
Well, then there'll be a break, and then everybody will have 10 events in 4 weeks like they did last fall.
Gotta love this industry.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do appreciate you being put on the spot and answering those questions that came from social media. So thank you very much. And
Of course.
so we've come to our final, and I've been saying in my last couple episodes what might be my favorite segment, while everything else is extremely important in the conversation. Stack it or whack it. I mean, gotta love it, right? So this is the part where I'm going to throw out a few technologies, not necessarily WealthTech related, because I always like to end on a fun note. And you tell me if they are worth the hype. So essentially, stack it or whack it. So that's right. We need some sound effects in here when we edit this thing. There we go. Clip that. Love it. All right. So technology number 1. Automated security camera that flies between each room in your home. Ring actually dropped this at CES this year, and it's called the Ring Always Home Cam. Intrusive, a liability for kids, or will this take off? No pun intended. Or, for folks who love surveillance like my father, is this a win?
Man, my family has 3 Siamese kitties, a toddler, and a sheepadoodle. I'm just cringing at the chaos that thing would bring to my house. But I've got some tough news for the listeners. Your stuff's not that valuable. If it was, you'd hire a security guard to do it. Whack it. Psh.
So unnecessarily camera drones flying around your house.
Yes.
And
Yes.
love it. So, well, now that you've listed off, having animals, having a toddler, I'm assuming that you have a yard. So my next technology was around robot lawnmowers. Are we killing nostalgia? I grew up riding tractors and learned how to drive that way. So, being more efficient so we can be more productive. Let's see how I'm looping it all back to productivity theme. Or could this be like the next horror movie on Netflix?
So I have a qualifying question.
Okay.
Do the robots turn into other cool things like Transformers do?
I mean, the ones I've seen, not yet, but I'm sure we're on our way. Like we
So
could have a bumblebee type.
Okay, so I'm losing interest. But so I had the same family mowing my lawn for a decade, not because I'm rich, but because I'm lazy. And
I
I'll
hate
take
yard
them
work.
over the robots any day. So whack it.
Whack it. All right. Whacking the robot lawnmowers. Love it. Ryan, I appreciate you indulging me today. And it's always just a blast getting to speak with you. And I do want to shout out just the awesome series of roundtable discussions you've been hosting.
Thank you.
So if folks haven't tuned in yet, tell them where they can listen to it and where they can also learn more about all things Docupace and what you guys have coming up.
Sure. Me and my friends hang out at docupace.com. That's DOCUPACE.com. I did have the crazy idea of doing 6 live webinar roundtables in the month of January. I hope for my wife's sake, she's hoping I don't repeat that this next year or don't make it a thing. But they're all available under resources, webinars. We had some great conversations with some great people on technology, compliance, growth, RIA megatrends, and everything under the sun. So it's been a great time. We've had a lot of good content.
Awesome. And will you be headed to any events anytime soon where folks can see you guys in person?
I am. So next event I think I'll be at is Orion's conference, and
See you
then I
there.
think T3 after that.
See you
And
there.
then who knows? Who knows what's after that? So if they'll event, maybe invite me, maybe I'll be there.
WealthStack.
What's that? Hey, so for free passes, use the code Shannon Rosic. No, I'm just kidding.
Shannon promise
Yeah,
passes.
Shannon promised me passes. No, hopefully I'll see you at WealthStack as well.
All right, fantastic. Well, you heard it here, folks. Be sure to tune into all things Docupace on their website. Check out their awesome roundtable discussions and catch them on the road. But if you are looking to stay ahead of the technology status quo, don't miss our WealthStack event, part of Wealth Management Edge, May 21st through 24th in Hollywood, Florida. I'll be there. All the tech influencers, innovators, decision makers will be there, and we'd love to see you all there. So thank you so much, and thanks for listening.